welcome back everyone. I know I haven't posted in a while, been a little bit hectic around here, but I just want to say thank you to those who have subscribed and liked the channel. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I'll keep you up to date on the videos that we're putting up and projects we've got going on in the shop. But all that aside, let's show you what's happening. So first things first, I got the box done, it's ready for paint. Cut the wheel tubs out, I punch holes in the tubs themselves and spot weld it back to the box. I have to cut the bed rails and weld them back together, the bed strips I mean. And then we have to do some modifications to the bed frame rails themselves. When we take the bed strips out, those usually would go across and bolt in here. But with the wheel tubs, it kind of eliminates that purpose. There are holes in the tops of the frames, so I build these brackets and I trim them up later, and I weld a stud going through the frame, and then there's a hole in the bottom of the frame, so it's easy to put a socket up through and just put the nut on the other side. Makes it super simple to pull this box off, and when you go to set it back on, it's just got studs, it falls right back into place, and it doesn't move. So after I finished the box and had the cab sitting on the frame to know where the box was going to go, I welded the tranny tunnel in, got it all tacked up, ready to go. I'll weld it later. I can't weld it while it's on the frame or else you're gonna heat up everything underneath around the tranny, the wiring, everything. So I'll leave that for now. And then I cut the dash out. The original dashes don't stick out very far here. So when you're sitting in the pickup, after we're all done with it, it feels like you're a really long ways away from the dash. Also, the air conditioning is really hard to fit in between the firewall and the dash because they're so far in. So I took this dash, it's out of a 56 Chevy car, and I cut the other one out here. I left these for the trim piece, which is right here. That way we can cover up when Kevin will put leather over the top of this and make it look really clean. I'll come in, I'll weld these seams, make everything flush, make everything really smooth, look really good. We'll paint it. But I cut this along here. There's a piece of trim that sticks all along the dash here, and this is the end screw hole for it, so I have to make sure I keep that. But I'll cut this off, push the dash in to where it's flush along here, and then I'll build a whole new piece that fits this, and when I'm done, it'll fit the curve of the pillar perfect. So it looks really nice when it's done. You open the door, it looks like it was meant to be in there. You get a lot more depth towards you, so you don't feel like you're so far away. If you're trying to mess with the radio, you don't have to lean forward as much. So we got the dash in, but as you can see, there's a huge hole here, and instead of capping it and having this big weird shape here, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna pie cut this in a couple spots, and I'll slope it down into the pillar. So it'll kind of start sloping back in this area and smooth out and be flat against the pillar. It kind of gives it a nice transition to where it doesn't have a weird shape there. And then this will also, you can see it's starting to spread the gap here. So as I cut this, it'll come back out and I can put this piece flat against here, and then everything will just be smooth and even. And then I can start fabricating this piece to come into this edge too, which is kind of difficult because there's a bend going this way and a bend going that way and this way. So it's kind of weird to get it to fit. There's a lot of tacking and hammering to try to get it to lay out right, but done it once, so I should be able to do it again. Also, you can see that this piece sits here, but it just doesn't look right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it along this seam here, leaving this flat section. So when I put another piece over the top, it'll be more flush. and then I'll probably lower the dash a little bit, and I'll form a piece that'll come around and match that angle. And it turns out better than it looks right now. It looks like it would be very ugly, but once I bring the dash down a little bit and get rid of some of that, I'll cut this out, and then I can add a piece that attaches to this lip here and attaches there, and I'll weld the whole piece in. It'll strengthen everything up. It'll make the dash really solid, get some more bracing underneath to the firewall, and just, you don't want any rattles, you don't want any squeaks. So we'll make it fit in there really nice, best we can. And by the time we're done, it'll look like it's meant to be in there. So I got the dash where I wanted it. The pie cuts ended up coming out a little bit short. They were sitting in this area. So I built this piece, cut that section out completely, and formed this in here, and I'll come in, weld it, smooth it out later. But it follows along here. It's a little bit tall up here, so you can see I've marked it. I'm gonna cut this and hammer it back down so it kind of follows that rolled edge here. I got this piece formed. I'll probably end up putting a little piece in here. I don't want to flatten that too much, or else it'll just look weird. So I'll form another piece to sit along this edge and push this up against the pillar a little bit more. But I got all the curves in. It's got some dimple marks because I had a weird dent there, so I was hammering it from the other side to try to knock it out. But that should be able to grind smooth and clean up. I got it following this here good. There's a little bit of an angle there, which I'm not a huge fan of, but this will push up. So when I get some better bracing in there, I might pop these tacks loose in here and flatten it down a little bit just to keep the dash nice and smooth along here so it's not going up. And then I can get started on the other side. I've got the height where I want it. It's nice and clean from this side. As you can see, this is our trim piece here. So the leather will come back over, and I'll have a piece that I'll fabricate to fit in here and hold everything. It'll really stiffen it up. And once I get that welded in, when Kevin comes in to put leather on the top of this, he'll come over to this edge here, and down inside here, and this trim piece helps hide that coarse edge of the leather, and come in here and just make everything nice and smooth, flush, clean, get it all strong, stout, so it's not moving around at all. And then it's on to paint pretty soon after that. I got some holes to fill in the back here. A lot of people put gun racks in these trucks because they're mostly farm trucks. So you can see the little pinholes back here. I'll go along and fill all those. And then I am also going to weld this seam up and make this smooth, just because it's a weird seam. I don't know why they did that. Probably because it was just a simple truck for an everyday use and nobody cared back then. So I'll come in here, throw a weld in here, grind it all down, make it look smooth. I'll clean this up, make this a little smoother. Like I said, I'm gonna weld these seams up, so when you're looking at this, when it's painted, it's nice and flush, along with this one. And just, it's getting pretty close. So work out some kinks and some dents and fill a couple more holes in the floor, and then it's off to paint here pretty quick. So we're done with all the fab work. I got all the seams welded up that I want covered. We'll have to put a little bit of mud over the top because the dashes aren't even to begin with. This side sits deeper. So to try to fill that with weld is just ridiculous. So anyway, this piece, that seam will be covered by the trim piece. This will be also covered by that. All of this will get covered with leather. I had to build a piece that ran along here to connect this dash to where the old one is. Like I said, I left all the brackets for the trim, so that can go back in. When we put the leather over the top, it'll go behind this, and that'll hold it down, will help hold it down. And I also got the kick panels welded in. We'll cut speaker holes up in the kick panels. There's a vent that typically goes up here that's got holes in it that run along here. And we take that out and weld this in. So when the water comes down on this, it just runs off. Before it would go inside of here, run along the inside of this and drain out the bottom. And that's why these rust out along here really bad, and the doors sit there, and they're heavy doors. So with all the water sitting in there and dirt it collects, it's supposed to run out here, but it'll collect in there and rust this section out. As you can see, we've patched a little bit up in here to strengthen it. But the doors are so heavy that when those go, the hinge just kind of shoves through it, and the doors never want to line up right. So we got this one early, but we got that welded up. That way no water's coming in here. We'll seam this up, make it leak proof. And then because I got the kick panels in there, these are the vents. These air vents are inside the door. And when you put the kick panels in, cut the speaker holes out, these are always in the way and you mess up your blades and it's a pain in the ass to get to them. So I just run along there with a plasma cutter, and it leaves a big nice hole inside of there. So when I do cut the hole out, there's a big empty space that the speaker will fit in there good, no issues, and it just works out well. So next we're gonna put new door hinges in, and then I got a latch kit. These old latches, they wear out and rub really bad. They don't want to line up very well. So the new latch kit, I think it's around $300. I could be wrong, but it'll replace this with just a peg, and then this will be able to run over that peg, line up well. They open nice, the buttons work great, everything is really smooth. You can almost just hardly push on it to latch them, and they stay sealed. Works really well. So now that we're done with that, this can go out. I'll sandblast it, sandblast the inside, clean everything up, get all the little BBs off the dash from welding, and then it'll go over and get painted. So that one is ready to go. It's exciting to get going on this. It's been in here a bit. We had some projects that were ahead of it. So get the box painted, get the cab painted, frame's done clearly. So once we get all that stuff done, we'll get it back in here, mount it all, get everything bolted down. I can get going on the boxwood, and that's about it. Over here we have a 64 Lincoln that we did this one quite a while back, but it had a bearing go out in it and kind of fried the motor. So we got that under warranty because it had like 8,000 miles on it, I think. So we just got the new engine in there. Everything is getting ready to go back together now. Greg's gonna do a little bit more wiring. But we also had a crack in the radiator that we didn't notice until we tried to pressurize it to get the fluid in there. So we sent that off to get fixed, get the crack fixed, get the leaks out of it. I put a Devious custom suspension kit on this, and so it's got air ride underneath of it. It's got different selections, like 3 different selections that are on the remote itself. Makes it pretty slick to pull into a parking lot and drop it. Kevin did the interior on this one. Built a really nice long center console for it. Full interior, headliner, everything. It's all got Dakota Digital as well. Backup camera. It is a big, long car, so it's nice to know where you're going with it. So it's a pretty sweet car though. It was painted a long time ago, so the paint isn't perfect, which is great for the guy because he likes to just drive it around without having to worry about anything. So it's nice to not have to stress about where you're parking in a parking lot or leaving it or getting door dings. You still never want door dings, but when it's already got little chips and spots that are fixed with touch-up paint, you don't have to stress about it as much as if you had a $20,000 paint job on your car. But get this one out hopefully pretty soon. Once we get that radiator back, we can drop it in, put some fluids in it, and pull it on out of here, and the guy can keep driving it, considering this winter has been pretty mild in Montana. But yeah, that's what we've had going on recently, and we'll have a whole new set of projects coming in here once this one and this one are gone. So we'll keep going on that. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, stay up to date, and we'll see you guys next time.